what is an actor or an actress? What is someone who does this? It's bringing the character to the screen. And he only got about, it sounds like 75% of the way there.
Maybe this is a Hollywood problem. Maybe they just had too much hands on this movie. Or maybe Bong just made a bad movie.
It's not like I felt like this was a cash grab. I enjoyed my time with it. It just brings up this idea of like, maybe he didn't have home field advantage.
And especially very Taika Waititi to me, where it's just like, okay, let's transition everything with a joke, basically. Anything else important or emotional, or
is this an editing room fault? But like, what director is not in the editing room? Bro, if there's not a director in the editing room, what the
Welcome to the SomeDamnMovies podcast. Just a heads up, we don't shy away from spoilers. Here's your warning for the following movies: Mickey 17 and the other Bong Joon Ho films. Enjoy! Hello. Welcome to episode 14 of what I would say is my favorite movie podcast. I don't know about yours, but this is the SomeDamnMovies podcast. We are talking Mickey 17 today. Ian finally got away from his domesticated life and got to go see a movie. This was a movie I actually saw on my birthday. Or was it my birthday day? I forget. But I did see this in IMAX. And this is our review. But first, Ian, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, my dude. How are you doing today? God,
Good,
I got to go to a movie theater. What a spectacular day. What a triumphant day.
Would you say our king, our glorious king, Sean Baker, would be happy with us?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm actually trying to work it in to make sure I can because my wife's cool with it. Like, she's like, yeah, just let me know. And we might even try to go like a little date night to go see some movies. Yeah. But yeah, I told her, I was like, yeah, because I thought I could rent it, and I couldn't yet because they pushed it back to keep it in theaters from streaming. But I went and saw it. Yeah. So I went and saw Mickey 17. Everyone, I hope you're having a great day as well. Again. Yeah. So I guess this is where we start the review, right? That's the point of this podcast.
We're getting straight into it today. So this is going to be we just had a 2-hour podcast. This one's going to be probably like 45 minutes. It's not going to be that long.
Yeah, we're only talking about Mickey 17 today. So yeah, if you want, how about you start off with your thoughts?
Yeah, I want to read my quick review.
I'm the mystery here. I'm the mystery.
Yeah. So I actually did read this book as well. The book is Mickey 7. Bong just was like, you know what, let's add 10 more. Did it work? We'll see. I don't want to say it too much because I want to actually hear your review first, personally.
Oh, so we're
mine might be a hot take. But my initial review for this movie, right after I got out, I was in the bathroom typing this. As I do all my Letterboxd reviews.
Regal, did you go?
It was an AMC, an IMAX in Columbus, Ohio. So
you went all the way to Columbus to watch this?
Yeah, brother. You think I have IMAX?
You were talking about it for you were excited for it. I remember.
Yeah, last year. Last year I was excited for that. This was actually probably the film I was most excited about this year.
Before we get into it too far, I like using the Letterboxd boilerplate to start this off. So for everyone who doesn't know, and for some reason is still watching this, here's the little tagline for the movie via Letterboxd. He's dying to save mankind. Unlikely hero Mickey Barnes finds himself in an extraordinary circumstance of working for an employer who demands the ultimate commitment to the job, to die for a living.
Yeah. So my review initially was on the toilet, my toilet review. And this is, again, as somebody that read the book, and my girlfriend read the book too. I just said now my girlfriend hates the movie and book.
Really? So she didn't like the book either?
No.
Did you like the book?
Her and I probably have similar opinions. I definitely liked it a little bit more.
Well, she's more of a romantasy girl, right? I feel all I hear about is her talking about romantasy.
She just thought this one didn't have a lot going for it, which I don't necessarily disagree with. It's pretty surface level, thematically. The world building's fine, the writing's fine, and it's engaging enough, but there's really not a whole ton of things that are going on. And again, a lot of the themes about the philosophical themes and stuff like that are pretty surface level. The characters are not super fleshed out. And again, it's just kind of boring.
And this is
it's
the
still
book it's
still an easy read. So like I would definitely tell people to read it if you just want like a quick little 300 pager. And by read, I mean I listen to it on multiple walks and multiple workouts. But hey,
we find a way.
So
I mean,
what did you think about it?
My review. I thought it was fine. Like, I mean, it was nothing. I think it was very middle of the road. I think this watched like a Kurt Vonnegut novel, but not in a good way. That's the only thing I could think of, and I would actually say that because I forgot it was a book. I think this was probably like a lesser Kurt Vonnegut book, if I were to have to take a guess, right? Because he, like it's like American. I think it's like American. Was it they consider Kurt Vonnegut? Either way, like something like Slaughterhouse-Five, it gets a little like
silly.
It questions morality. It gets a little philosophical. Like that's what Kurt Vonnegut and most, like, I would even say good sci-fi, but like Kurt Vonnegut would, it was like absurdist humor at times, especially when you talk about things like, I don't know, my favorite is Cat's Cradle. But so my problem, to go back to Mickey 17, my thing with this book, it was like almost too heavy on the philosophical question of, is this ethical, or the ethical questions, not even really philosophical, just I think I misused that, so apologies to anyone who's triggered by that. But the ethical questions of morality of like, well, this guy just keeps dying, and then like he like comes back and they're testing on him. It like the part that sticks out to me, there's a part where there's duplicates, right? And the part with him and his girlfriend and Kai, they pretty much like once what ends up happening is Mickey gets duplicated, so Mickey 17 and Mickey 18 both exist. This is against a law because of one of the creators of the technology went berserk and started like his duplicates were killing people. Either way though, so his girlfriend, I forget her name, Nasha, she immediately was like, oh, this is like, I have two Mickeys, like now I can like get boned by both of my Mickeys, kind of like went that way.
Yeah.
And then Kai was like, well, I like Mickey 17, like she tried to like have a thing with him, and they really dwelled on like the what do we do with both Mickeys. It kind of, right, because I felt like the Nasha part like was a little like just that whole scene, that whole debacle with the duplicates to start off was just I wouldn't say it was forced, right? It felt forced to like, because it's right, because like we're dealing with a guy who can be replicated multiple times. And of course, what happens whenever you have two of them? Like what ethical questions can we discuss now? And it was just like, it didn't feel like it served the story other than, I guess the whole story is about like, right, Mickey 17 just dies, or Mickey just dies repeatedly. So I guess it is on with the story. It just felt like it had to be there. I think a lot of what this book or this movie had to deal with was simply talking about like the ethics behind just killing some guy experimenting on like a lab rat, which it's weird to say, like that's obviously the point of this book, but the story behind it, there's really, is it weird to say there's like the story is just not like the strongest? Because like there's really not like a huge, like the main thing is they're going to this place, Project Niflheim or whatever. They're going to a new planet to colonize it, and like that's the case. Like he is the main focal point, so I think they executed that well. It's just it wasn't. Again, I bring up Kurt Vonnegut because he still tackles morality and ethics, even, I would say theology in a lot of his books. And it's never truly just feels like it's being scrutinized. And like, there's a story that still is tying together his characters, where with this, it didn't feel like that story was really pronounced as much. It was just all about the ethics of Mickey dying and like whether it was good or not. And I was just like, okay, I thought it was fine though. I was like very mid on it. I didn't rate it because I didn't want you to look at it. So I'm rating it now. And like, if I were to say,
don't look at mine.
I think I liked it. Yeah. To be honest, I'm giving it like a 2.5. I actually don't know if I liked it. And that's the big thing for me on Letterboxd, if I like it or not. I didn't hate it. I just don't think I'll watch it again. I think Robert Pattinson was perfectly fine.
Oh, he's great, yeah.
He was good, but like I also compared this to Split and like, let's be real, dude. Like fucking why do I always do this? What's his name again?
Let's see if you can remember.
I'll remember it. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's just, we're gonna sit here. James McAvoy.
There you go.
Yeah. So like whenever you compare like these multiple personality kind of just like, distinct characters played by the same actor.
The movie though is whether or not, because they talk about it in the movie, but they talk about more in the book is like the idea of Theseus's boat or whatever, where the paradox is if you have the same boat, but you replace, the broken in parts over time, is it the same boat at the end?
Is it the same boat?
So while in this case,
you can say that about bands too. Like if everyone, like I think of As I Lay Dying, because it's only the lead singer now, but they've replaced him too, like at points, because he went to jail for being a piece of garbage. But like once you replace the entire band, is it still the same band, or is it just branding at that point? And that's what it really comes down to, I guess, in that case.
I feel like in the movie they didn't do a good enough job about that, because like you said, they really just focused on, because they kept on asking Mickey the same question the entire time. It's like, how does it feel dying? It seems like that was the central thing that Bong was trying to go with, when in the book it's a little different, which was whatever. Like if you want to go off the book, inspired by it, whatever. But yeah, in this case, it's more about what they say in the book is about Theseus and whether or not, like, over time, are you the same person, even though a lot of parts and stuff has been changed. And in this case, his memories are always constantly uploaded. Like I think it's like a weekly thing. And so then it gets transferred to the new thing. But I think the idea too is like, you see it it's more focused in the movie where they're like a plug gets like unplugged or something like that. And that's, I know they don't really do that in the book. I think the thought is another like paradox, like a mathematical paradox or something that I saw recently, where it's like the most like short-term memory a human can store is like 7. Like the numbers, like a number of 7 things, like 7 objects or something, like plus or minus 2 or something like that. And so I think that's the idea between Mickey 7, given the title. And that's why Mickey 8 is so much different. Because you start sort of peeling away at that point or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just like, you're going to start seeing degradations in memory and like what you're actually, so like now pretty much you could say like effectively one of the Mickeys that came before, like that personality with the memories, whatever, it's no longer there. Right. Or it's like maybe degraded severely. I personally, like, I didn't dislike it. I don't think I'd go back and watch it. And I brought up the James McAvoy thing with Split is because like, while I think Robert Pattinson is a very talented actor, and I think he did a good job. Like I actually think a lot of people, he's not slept on now, but I think he got a lot of undeserved hate because of Twilight. But I'm also a Twilight apologist. I love watching those movies. They're hilarious. I think he is an extremely capable actor, but if you compare him to James McAvoy in Split, I don't know. It's hard to compare anyone trying to play like effectively the same role, but with 8, like playing 8 different roles in the same, like, right. We're talking about like really limited costumes. We're talking about like he just had to switch personalities and he just did it flawlessly. And I feel like it's like the same thing. So, also not maybe fair to compare it because they're very different movies. But yeah, I mean, I didn't mind. I think a lot of the sets are good. He is this sci-fi absurdist kind of thing. But Bong Joon Ho, like especially because like I've only watched 3 of his movies. Right, I have Mickey 17 now, but like Parasite and Snowpiercer, and I want to watch. I was looking before we started the pod today. I was looking at his his filmography to see what else he has. He has a couple other movies that look a little more grounded and something more just more modern, like in a modern like drama that I would be curious to watch at some point, because Parasite, if you compare him to just like these 3 movies, like the 3 movies I listed, feels like an outlier.
My lord,
not just well, I mean, not just in like like obviously like Parasite was a fantastic movie. It is a fantastic movie that just had a lot of thought put into. It had a lot of thought put into like every frame. Like there's like what I remember, right? Like their use of like stairs and like angles, right? Like because you always had like because the whole thing was like there's the rich family that is being fed off, like that is being not exploited really because they just make so much money. But like there's these families that vie to be a parasite on them, and it shows like the I guess like the socioeconomic like disparity between like some of the richest and the poorest.
Mm-hmm.
And what sticks out to me is how they used in like their cinematography, which I'll get onto that after this, but the stairs, right? Like they would always either go up or down these stairs and like from where they were living to where they were going. And it almost like symbolized how they were like either moving up in like their quality of life or how they were so far below this family that they were feeding off of. And I think it took like my second watch through and I was very interested in the cinematography a couple years back. So I was kind of consuming a lot of like just Parasite discussion. So I'm not like original in saying this. It was more like the cinematography and that was far more thought provoking and thoughtful, I think, than it was in Mickey 17 and Snowpiercer. I actually think like they are Snowpiercer. They're kind of like on the, sort of like the same like echelon of Bong Joon Ho's filmography, which is not bad. It's just, it was almost too on the nose again. Yeah. With the ethics, like whether it's ethical or not, because you said a term when we were going through the Sean Baker arc that has kind of stuck with me and it's kind of changed not changed, but his accentuated how I review specifically movies. For those who don't know, I think people overthink reviewing things, whether it's a video game, a book, a movie, a picture, whatever, because really what matters, and this was something that I think Roger Ebert had said, is like, you just have to know how it makes you feel. Like you don't have to get critical about it. Like watch something, play something, read something, and how do you feel while you're doing it? Because I get very self-conscious with writing or talking about my thoughts on reviews, and that helped me a lot with just being like, how do I feel about this movie? Like, how does it make me feel? What stands out as I'm watching it? Like, don't overthink it, right? And you said something that accentuates specifically the way I review or think about film. And common term, I just didn't think about it too much, but like visual storytelling is, I think, very important to me because like I like the stories, but like, is it telling me the story through the cinematography? Is the story, can I perceive it? I bring up like a ghost story because not only do we love that, but like how fantastic that movie is it just visually telling you what's going on. We glaze up. If there's one thing you will hear us glaze up in this podcast, it's a ghost story, and not only a ghost story, but specifically Rooney Mara eating that fucking chocolate pie, because that is a 5-minute scene and it tells so much, right? The grief that she's going through, the loss that has just happened, the kindness that she, people around her, like, because that was like the realtor, right? How she's kind of alone now. It does so much, and she's really, no one really talks in that movie either. So, and it's very, again, and
except
it's
for
shot
that damn
in
hipster.
Yeah, except for that damn hipster. But like, and it's shot in 4:3, which really is just this intimate aspect ratio to enjoy and consume this thing. So I compare a lot of things to not just that. It's not fair to compare every movie to that or anything, but I just think like, is this telling me the story visually, which I think is important for a film? Because, right, like why would I not just read the book, right? This is a good example with Mickey 17. You said that Mickey 7 is a book. Why would I watch the movie over reading the book if the movie is going to just tell me the entire story, right? If that's the case, why would I not just read the book or listen to the book? And that's kind of where I'm at with this too, because you bring up the whole, is it like, what is it like to die? Yada, yada. I don't feel like visually the movie was told to me through a visual medium. Like, yes, there were scenes, there was movies. I was watching it, but Mickey and the cast had to tell me more about it. I didn't infer anything while watching it, or not as much as I would expect to from any movie. And again, we talk about like the Sean Baker arc, and I still think he crushed visual storytelling. Like, I feel like I only had my thoughts to tell me, like, what, and I was inferring a lot from it. And maybe it is because it's supposed to be like a more blockbuster hit. I think for a more general audience, you kind of sacrifice some of that because, you know, maybe a general audience just wants more of an easy watch, and to be maybe a little disengaged with the medium. But yeah, I guess for this is why I'd say it's not bad. I don't think it was like terrible. I think back on the part of like how I feel about something when I review and whether it's good or not. I walked out of the theater and I thought to myself, like, that was good. I didn't hate it. Like, I actually was talking to Jess about this. I walked out of we kind of talked about how it's a little bit more involved for me to go to a movie theater, right? I have to coordinate with my wife and be like, hey, do you want to see this movie? She answers yes. Then we get a babysitter. She answers no. She stays home with the baby, right? And this is just everything we do. If she goes out and does something, she does the same thing for me. So I have to deliberately take time and coordinate to go see a movie in the theater. If I feel like I wasted my time in the theater, I'm going to be upset, right? Like that, I'm going to be upset about this experience because I had to coordinate, even whether it might sound little, I had to take time out of my day to come to this destination to watch it. So I hope it I don't feel like I was wasting my time. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I wasted my time on watching this in the theater. I think that it was actually a better experience. I think most movies are a better experience in the movie theater. I didn't feel like I wasted my time. So overall, I think it was fine. Like, I think it was okay. It's nothing glowing. I really thought it was going to be bad by your review, but I think there's other things that you're about to tell me about that impacted your experience. Right. Because you have a little more commitment to it. You've read it. You were also excited, way more excited for this. Like I said, we brought up, you were talking about it like 6 to 8 months ago. Mm-hmm. Because you were on the Bong Joon Ho hype. Yeah. So that's where I stand on it. And I've said my piece on it. So now go to you and we'll discuss after.
All right. So yeah, as we've talked about before, I did read the book. But I try not to be that type of person that like complains about the parallels between the books and the movies and stuff like that. Like, I'm all for people interpreting a piece of material the way they want to, right? Like, that's what most movies are anyways. Like, everything is some sort of an interpretation of either a life experience, or you're taking your life experience in and meshing it or molding it through another piece of work, whether it's a book, a poem, a short story, a little clipping from a newspaper or something like that. In this case, I wish he sort of focused a little bit more on the themes of the books, because I think that's probably what upset me the most about watching this one, was every chance he had to at least explore an interesting theme, which there's plenty in this movie and plenty in the book. And because obviously a lot of parallels there. He does this, like, what I would compare to like Taika Waititi, is that every time where you're like, oh, there's like going to be an interesting theme talked about, there's going to be some cool visual storytelling, it has to go into this awful slapstick humor, absurdist humor. You have that. I bought into the mark.
Taika Waititi suffers from that so fucking bad, and it really did come to a head.
And every time, like, I just want him to like rein it in. He has to go too fucking far. And I first initially was like, okay, Mark Ruffalo is fine. I like Mark Ruffalo. I almost compared to the role that he had in Poor Things, which I thought he was terrific in. But then it just got so hammy and overdone, and he was on the screen for too long. In the book, that character is not in it that much. He's just like the leader. And then like his hatred for Mickey is sort of strange in this movie too. He just hates him because he's him, basically. In the movie, it is because he is an expendable, but it's because in the book, he's more of what they describe. They call him a natalist the entire time in the books. So it's more like that type of religion based. But he's not as like in the book, they're not as slapsticky, absurdist, like crazy characters. And in this case, you can kind of tell, like, again, you and I are both not like Trump fans, but this was like Mark Ruffalo's like Trump impression. And it just got, it got too heavy handed, too on the nose. Another big issue I had too was the lack of, and this is just like random thoughts, the lack of Steven Yeun in this movie, and what's the point of him being in this movie? Because that character in the book is a lot more pronounced. He's Mickey's best friend.
Well, I was kind of like wondering about that because they put like, I felt like they would do a little bit more with him because he seemed like he was in a good position. Like narratively speaking, to have had more interactions, like he, you know, because like it's like he's his best friend, but he's obviously like undercutting Mickey and backstabbing Mickey a lot. Like
that doesn't really happen in the book.
Is Mickey, oh, does he not?
No, literally in the book. So he's actually Berto in the book, and he's basically just this like highly skilled like pilot. He's like the best pilot there. They were best friends in the book, and in the movie they sort of explain it. I guess they're not from Earth. It's many years from present day, and they've obviously already colonized other planets and shit like that. They're from a planet called Midgard, and then they're trying to colonize, and that's another
Niflheim makes sense then. Midgard,
and this is another big like theme of the movie is about colonization and shit like that, and sort of the relationship you have with, you know, the fellow inhabitants of the planet and stuff like that. And there's probably like some themes of like animal cruelty and stuff like that, because they're essentially they're going on another planet to colonize it. There's these scary monsters that are on it, yada yada yada, and then Mickey's job is basically as an expendable to use his lives to either like take experimental drugs and stuff like that, or go out and deal with these monsters any way he can, and he dies a ton of time over whatever. But they don't,
on that point, because you brought up the fact that they named it Mickey 17, which it doesn't seem like it was necessary, and maybe I'm nitpicking, but like all they did for like Mickey like 1 through 16 was like experimented on him, and then just like did they name this Mickey 17 just for a montage? Is I guess what I'm getting
at. But what montage? I was waiting for that montage the entire movie. It felt like it was barely there.
Whenever they were doing the vaccine, like 10 of them died, and then it wasn't really a montage. But it's like, did you just want to do that, or could we have? Right, because like on this point, I'm so sorry for cutting you off. But like, wouldn't it have been cool or fun to watch like him degrade as he gets copied? Right, because that's what Mickey 18 is. Like he loses. We were talking about the rule of sevens and whatever, and how like Mickey 18 is very wildly
different.
It's not the same Mickey. Like they all probably were, but like you didn't see him degrade, and the only Mickey Barnes we know is Mickey 17. We didn't know about him opening up the macaron like business and what he was like. We just skipped all the way to Mickey 17. So that is really to us, the viewer of Mickey. And then Mickey 18 is wildly different, but like, should we have maybe taken time, which I don't know how you rearrange this, right? Like, but like explore the other personalities, like maybe give us a little bit more Mickey Prime. So we know that Mickey Prime is, you know, what his personalities are like. And then watching him kind of degrade, right? Maybe go and talk about Mickey 6. And like, you see that he is like quite a bit different, and then like we get to 17 and he's like, oh, he's not even the same person at this point, because we don't do that, like so I don't really know what it served to one, change the name to Mickey 17, and also to like we don't see that change at all.
I mean, here's an easy storytelling way to do that is anytime, because it happens multiple times in this movie. How does it feel dying, Mickey? Flashback to the many Mickeys that have died. And then that gives you more, like, hopefully some exposition about like what it does to him. And because in the book, he does talk a little bit more about how it does feel, how it feels to die. Because that's actually his relationship with the cat character, which in this movie, I think they named her something else. The other girl,
Nasha or Kai.
Kai, yeah. So she's Cat in the book, and she's a little bit more pronounced in the book too. And there's really not any like weird like triangle of love bullshit that they were trying to pull. That and then he pulls it away immediately, which he does the entire movie with everything. Everything gets pulled away instantly. And then, but as soon as like Mark Ruffalo gets on screen, we have to watch him for fucking 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Trump impression, because it's like at this point, like you said, like I'm trying to be like, I don't want to get into politics, right? But like, yeah, you said we don't care for, Trump, but at the same time, like, what are we doing? Like, why does it have to be like just make an original character? Like, I don't know. It felt kind of heavy-handed and forced, and I was like, oh, okay.
And I like, if that's the type of storytelling you're going for, I think it's fine. But like,
it's
it
like,
just
is this
doesn't
satire?
Work. Yeah, it doesn't work.
Like, is this like true satire? Because like, yeah, there's satirical parts to it, but like, is this a satirical talk on like what? Because like, I thought we were, again, like, it feels like we're trying to focus more on the ethics behind using a human as a guinea pig, and like what the morality behind that. And then I would actually say the satire kind of undercuts all of that. Like, I don't take it seriously. I'm not thinking or inferring, which, back to my comparison with Kurt Vonnegut, like, he is satirical. He's extremely satirical and uses a lot of metaphor. But while and why I think people love Kurt Vonnegut so much is because while it is comedic and satirical, I am still engaged and thinking about like what like the objective is, like, or what the theme is of the book. And I bring up like Slaughterhouse-Five is probably the most popular one on like, kind of like, what is war good for at the end? Like Pootie Wop, I think, is like, I don't want to go and start making this about a Slaughterhouse-Five like breakdown, but kind of like at the end of it, the main character who's unstuck in time, and he's kind of like going through these different, everything from being in an alien zoo almost to with another woman, to having a life with a family, to being on the battlegrounds of, I think it's supposed to be World War II. And they're going to Slaughterhouse-Five, which I think was like a farmhouse. And like at the end of the book, it's just like he hears a bird make the sound like Pootie Wop. And like when I walked away from it throughout this whole thing, it just makes you think like, what is this? What was this war good for? Like, did it even matter? Did things matter? It's just very sort of nihilist. It's been also like 10 years since I've read Slaughterhouse-Five. I should probably go back and read it. But my point is that Kurt Vonnegut didn't lose himself in the satire and the comedy and like the lightheartedness of his books. He still was able to maintain his metaphor and maintain like the themes that he was going for. And you bring up the Taika Waititi comparison, and like that's like I like Taika Waititi.
Me too,
I think people glaze him up way too much, and I think because like the biggest problem with him is everything is that fucking slapstick comedy. Like Jojo Rabbit is really good. He still does it in Jojo Rabbit, and I think it's like that's a more contained
version of Taika,
where he doesn't of Taika, because I think he took it more seriously. But like he is so
he has no restraint
of just like where it's just like Thor Ragnarok really does just like miss. I know people glaze that one up too. I think I even did originally, but like watching it again, it's like, we're trying to have like a serious conversation about something going on in like an emotional moment. Let's like make a fucking funny little slapstick joke. And it's just like, okay, dude, like whatever. Like, I'm not taking this seriously at this point. Like, just get through it. And he had a couple good ones, but yeah, sorry about that, but back to you. I apologize.
But yeah, overall, I mean, I don't have too much more to say other than I truly thought this movie was bad. I think this is his worst film thus far. How
much have you watched of him, though?
A lot. I mean, I've seen obviously the 3 that you've seen. I mean, those are the 3 I've seen. And again, he is a South Korean filmmaker, so most of his productions are South Korean. But his 3 films, Snowpiercer, Okja, or I don't know how to pronounce that.
I haven't watched Okja yet.
And then Mickey 17 are all like co-produced by Hollywood. So those are his 3 American films. So maybe there might just be some like cultural differences about like what he understands. I don't even think it's the humor. I just think it's the way maybe his English scripts are not getting the point across, because I thought the script overall was shit as well. Like, however the dialogue was, I thought was trash between any of the characters. They were all bad.
Yeah, I also think that's weird.
I couldn't
because,
connect to any character, not at all.
Yeah.
Like the whole sacrificing of Mickey 18 at the end felt so undeserved. You don't care about Mickey 18 the entire fucking movie because he's just an asshole the entire time.
Well, it's not even that. It's like, yeah, they definitely were like, oh, I'm going to give up my life for like Mickey 17. And like he kind of came to terms with that. I see what they were going with. Yeah, I didn't hit me.
But that happened right after he was like, okay, go ahead. Like, cause Berto or whatever they named him was like, okay, I'll get cut somebody up. Yeah, I'll get the weak one or whatever like that. He's like, oh, whatever. And so like there was like no, and then it just skips. Like everything moves. Like the pacing is so strange that it feels like nothing is truly connected. Like logically, it just pushes, it just moves to the next thing. It just feels like a bunch of like silly dumb vignettes that gets connected later. I don't know if maybe this movie truly failed at the editing level as well, and I wouldn't put it past them. Maybe this is a Hollywood problem. Maybe they just had too much hands on this movie, or maybe Bong just made a bad movie, and that's okay as well, because Parasite still fucking slaps, and I can't wait to watch it again. This movie, again, this is my final thoughts on it, I just didn't connect to any of the characters. I thought it was a bad adaptation of a book that I did read. And I didn't even like the book that much. It was too over the top and absurd in the wrong moments. Those are things I like, but they're just done poorly and at the wrong moments. It was overdone. I think the movie was also too fucking long. The book is not even long. So it needed to be gut. Somehow it felt too long because I wanted to leave 30 minutes before it ended. Like I was looking at my watch. That's how unfocused I was on this movie, because I was so out of it, because this movie just was not subtle. It felt so unfocused. It's like scatterbrained. Didn't like it. Period. Done.
Yeah, I'm kind of comparing crews now, because I'm like wondering because you brought up like, yeah, it's a South Korea, like, he's a South Korean director. And I'm trying to like compare Mickey 17, Snowpiercer, and Parasite.
It's been a hot minute since I've seen Snowpiercer. It's
okay. I'm not like,
but it did. I don't think it had like an absurdist humor to it, did it? Unless I'm not.
It was just, well, it's not like humor. It's honestly pretty serious. It's just a lot of it's like uncanny valley sort of like dystopia. Like the world is right. Like it's a train going around the world during a like the world is just iced over inside of like a post-apocalyptic world that is just like a tundra. And so like the Snowpiercer just habitually goes around the world, and then life only exists on in Snowpiercer, right? And they're all in like, it's like a class caste system where like everyone in the back of the train is like, the fucking poors, and then the head cast really, I think it's just the creator of it is in the main car. It wasn't anything crazy. So like I was kind of looking at the crew for Snowpiercer, and it looks like there's like a nice distribution of like South Korean like crew members, and I think maybe, I don't think they would be American. I think maybe they're like so like maybe Finnish or something like that. Norwegian. I don't know. This one's kind of like hard to look at, but like just at a glance, I bring this up because Mickey 17 looks like it has a very like American crew behind it. And then you look at Parasite, and it is very clearly like a South Korean crew. And I bring this up because we've talked about it before.
Well, that was a full South Korean film.
Yeah, no, it's a whole ass South Korean film. And I bring this up mainly because like the idea of like, well, he's a South Korean director, and we've talked about before where like with Denis Villeneuve, and we've talked about with Sean Baker, like they have their people that they work with. And like, it's kind of like what I would call like their A team, right? People that they've probably worked with, probably people that share their same like view, right? Their same, the same like image of, or like expectation. And that's why like whenever it's not just like, oh, it's a South Korean film, it 100% is, because it's right. Like, I'm not doubting that, but I'm saying like, I wonder if this South Korean crew that helped him are like his. I should have done this prior. I didn't even think about it until we started doing the podcast, but I would be wondering if his other South Korean films have the same people, because maybe those people just shared like his vision, and it was less about him directing and more about just like getting that final product. Where like Mickey 17, like we bring up how it's like it's a Hollywood film. It's like, did they just put I mean, I think he adapted this too, didn't he? Yeah, he wrote it.
Yeah, I think he writes all his movies.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he wrote. Yeah, he did this one. He did. Well, so like he adapts them, right? Because I think Snowpiercer looks like it was like an adaptation too, because it's like original writers and then the stories by him. I'm not 100% on that one. I didn't even think about Snowpiercer until we decided to watch Mickey 17. But yeah, he might do this, like adapt or do original stories. But again, I think there's a lot that goes into. This is kind of just trying to give more credit to the crew, right? I think that like, while a director is absolutely the most important, it's kind of like a CEO, right? They're the ones who say no. They're the ones like they're usually it's like they're the ones who say no, but they're also the people that like have the vision and try to keep people on track and trying to like achieve the goal. But I think it always works in reverse too, where he has, producers and cinematographers and editors that say like, I like this one better. Like, I think this is a better, like, they negotiate, they talk about, and they compromise, right? That create, and I'm not trying to say Mickey 17 sounds like, oh, this book's really good, let's adapt it. And like, he liked it and like, it'll probably do well in, box offices, right? I'm not trying to say it's just a cash grab, I guess, but it could be. I don't know. Also, did you know that, because like one of the producers, I don't know if you knew this, but where was it? Like an assistant producer was Brad Pitt, or an executive producer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Plan B Entertainment. That's his thing. I guess Jennifer Aniston's one of the founders of it as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much, but I'm saying like, I don't think that, like, I think maybe this was, I don't want to call it a cash. It's not like I felt like this was a cash grab. I enjoyed my time with it. I'm not, but it just brings up this idea of like, maybe he didn't have home field advantage, not just being in South Korea, but I'm saying like, it wasn't a crew he worked with a whole lot, and I'd have to like start looking at everyone in the crew. But yeah, I just think that maybe he was not out of his element, but like just not as prepared as usual. Maybe when he went into this, a lot of new people, a lot of figuring out, the visual storytelling. Like, do they share the same idea? Do they have like, because you even said like, maybe is this an editing room thought? But like, what director is not in the editing room, bro? If there's not a director in the editing room, what the fuck are we even talking about?
I guess when I say like in the editing room, it's more like, is Warner Brothers like saying, we don't really like that. It's a little too political, or maybe it's saying too much. Oh, this stuff is real funny. Like people are going to really find that, like the American audience is going to find that super funny, or something.
Boardroom editor, yeah.
So like, let's just stick Mark Ruffalo's character in there a million times.
Yeah, like Dissent Against Trump is like really big. So like, let's just make him get the shots of him acting like Trump. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Have you watched SNL? Like Alec Baldwin's parts were really popular. They get clipped all the time.
Yeah,
something like that. I could maybe see that. I don't disagree with that. I could see a little bit of that.
But that's also, I mean, that's just conspiracy theories, and I think maybe Bong just made a bad movie. IMO.
I think Occam's razor, baby. Right, like the solution with the least number of variables is oftentimes the solution that happened, right? To say that like his whole entire crew, like he just wasn't jiving with some of them, or like not jiving, but like they just, don't have as much experience. That's a lot of variables. Maybe it's also too general to say like, oh, maybe he just made a bad movie, but like also like his bad movie is still better than a lot of movies, in my opinion. Like if we're going off of my
I think the technical bits of this movie, I didn't, I guess, say anything positive. I will say I did think visually it looked pretty good. I don't think like the cinematography was anything like exceptional, but I thought the visuals, like the
style,
I loved the world that he built. I enjoyed it. Yeah. I thought the monsters were cool and cute and fine. None of that stuff was my problem. Like the suit, the replication little machine, just the station that they were out at, like all that stuff I thought looked visually interesting. And I was bought in pretty quickly, but then it's just once it gets into the too much of the absurdist stuff, I started focusing more on, okay, let me ignore that and let me focus on the themes. Oh wait, that theme disappeared 2 seconds ago. Here's a new one. Here's a new storyline. Here's a new plot that won't matter in like 5 minutes. Here's Mark Ruffalo again
dealing drugs, and then Mark Ruffalo being like his character, and then if they did, I didn't think about it like that quite, but there were a lot, like the thing is, like, to say there's a lot of storylines, I don't even think there were necessarily storylines. It was just like there were just like things that they explored that I think they were trying to like bring up the whole, again, the ethics behind it. Like, I don't even think it was the ethics. Like Steven Yeun, like doing fucking like being a drug dealer was like, I mean, I don't really
take him out of the movie in your head. What changes?
Nothing.
Honestly, take out Toni Collette. What really changes?
Yeah, Toni Collette. I forgot. I was just like looking at it. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot Toni Collette was in this movie. What the fuck did she serve other than being like, well, I guess she was supposed to be the one driving, like, in, you know,
I don't even think her character is in the book. I don't even think he has a wife in the book.
And that's the part. Like, did they just want more star power to like say like these people are in it to bring
Warner Brothers, baby? Yeah.
That's my thing. Is like they do that, right? That's like a tactic. It's not even a tactic. It's just business where they're like, we need to have, like, is Robert Pattinson enough to put people in seats? It's like, no, I guess not. So I didn't even know Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette were even in this.
Well, we got to think too, like, this is after Parasite. So like he got super big after Parasite because it won an Academy Award. So this, to me, conspiracy theory,
the Academy Award, right?
Best Picture,
the best.
So this
picture.
is his follow up. I feel like now he gets attached with a Warner Brothers production company. This feels like, to me, like his Marvel movie, basically, after the fact. It's within the sci-fi universe. Yeah. It feels very Americanized. It feels so absurd, and like the way it's paced, there's like no meat and potatoes of any of the storytelling. It just keeps on moving, and that just feels so Marvel to me, and especially very Taika Waititi to me, where it's just like, okay, let's transition everything with a joke, basically. Fuck anything else important or emotional or anything. You can have emotion. I mean, look at Sean Baker. We just did an entire show on him, and his movies are a lot of the times pretty funny.
Oh,
but
yeah,
he knows when to rein it in.
He writes comedies.
Yeah. All his movies are pretty comedic. Yeah, but
they're dramatic comedies. Like,
but he knows not to go too fucking far. And then he knows how to bring it down.
Serves the story.
Yeah.
It's not like, that's the thing with Taika, and I guess in this now,
well, that's a good way. Like, serves the story. This one didn't feel like it serves it.
And like Taika, like I'll keep punching up. I don't give a shit. Taika like has this problem, which I'm not saying he's a bad director. I have enjoyed some of his movies. Like, right, like I think the original, like what's that fucking vampire movie or show on FX? What We Do in the Shadows? Like the original one was funny as fuck, but like that was like kind of the intention of it, right? Mm-hmm. And then like he has like The Wilder People or something like that, where the Wilder People go or something. That was a fun one too. I think he does things well. Like he has successes, but like, yeah, to say that like the comedy serves the story in like Sean Baker films, right? And coming off of our Sean Baker like breakdown and rankings, it's like more apparent, right? When you watch something like this, where it's like, it's funny because it's like, yeah, are we transitioning of it? Like the humor is undercutting any sort of emotion that we're building up here, like, or any sort of thought, like, why are we taking this seriously? It's like, obviously not, because like Bong decided like it's not, or like Taika decided it's not. Like, again, like I get like Thor Ragnarok shell shock from like you watch that movie and it's just like every fucking, like, I don't take it serious. Like that movie has like these huge, like Thor loses his fucking family, right? Or like loses all of Midgard, or not Midgard, fucking his homeworld, right? Like I forget what they call it, right?
Asgard.
Asgard. Loses Asgard, right? But then he's like, oh, Asgard is us. We're the people. This is new Asgard. But like all like the way that the pacing, I guess, for these story elements just kind of like these emotional hits just are like, oh, well, guess what? We're going to fucking throw in some slapstick joke here. And we're going to, kind of diffuse any sort of like, I wouldn't call it tension, but just like drama, right? This kind of like seriousness. Let's undercut that. Literally a story about like Asgard dying or being destroyed and then detaching from Asgard and be like, that's like, it's not like these places don't hold us and define us. We are what define us, right? Like we are the people of Asgard. This is New Asgard, a spaceship, right? And then they go to Earth. So yeah. And that's what this felt like. Taika, if you're watching this, stop being so fucking funny because it's actually not funny. I guess I'll leave that. Bong, stop being like him.
Yeah, I mean, lastly, I think
go back to Parasite.
I was trying to remember. I was like, which Thor was it? And it was Love and Thunder. That fucking goat. That's what Mark Ruffalo reminded me of. Every time he came on screen, that's what he was for me.
Love and Thunder. I think that one honestly was worse. Movie. I think Love and Thunder was just the cash grab. I actually don't hold that one against Taika. If Taika, to let me know. Was Love and Thunder a cash grab, or were you like, this is one of my best like pieces of cinema that I've directed?
So I just looked this up.
The answer is that. Go
ahead, finish your thought though. But
no, I finished
the fucking goats. Someone calculated how many times they screamed throughout that fucking movie. It was 48 times. If that doesn't tell you Taika doesn't know how to restrain a fucking joke, I don't know what will.
Taika, let me know. Do you know how to restrain a joke? Because the answer is no, right? The answer is no, but you could tell me that you do. Actually, that's not 100% right because he does do it sometimes. Like again, Jojo Rabbit, like I think he did it very, very. Even though I think sometimes he tried to go off the rails a little bit, but like he was very much, he respected the gravity of talking about World War II and the German occupation against
I think it's because the concept's already absurd, right? Like making a Hitler movie.
The concept's absurd, but also like there's a respect part that goes into it. That was a terrible and tragic time, so you can't undercut it too much. And I think he had a really good vision for where he wanted that movie to go. But
it also helps that the main character was also a kid,
and that kid acted his ass off too. I thought he was really good. I think all of them were. I did like that movie. I really can't complain about it too much. Again, you can see, but you can still. I don't want to rewatch it right now because we have too many things to watch. But like, you could. If I remember, if memory serves, right, there were times where he does enough to where I remember watching him be like, is he about to undercut this? Like, especially when, spoiler alert, this is just your primary one for Jojo Rabbit because this is a big one, right? 3, 2, 1, cool. When Scarlett Johansson's character is hanged, right? I was like, we're not gonna do something like, I remember being like, is he gonna do some like fuck shit here? Is he gonna make this like is he gonna undercut this? Cause this would be super inappropriate right now. And I would not like that at all. Like this would like really diffuse some, and he didn't. So he's
great
capable.
Scene too.
Yeah.
Great visual.
Great scene. Like, yeah. Like it was like really well done. But that's the thing is like, I remember watching it and being like, is he gonna do some Taika Waititi stuff? Anyway, that's what I said with Mickey 17. I don't want to go too far on. We're about at an hour and I think we probably could have ended this like 15 minutes ago, but
are you recommending this one? Final?
I would honestly just recommend the book. I mean, I've always been a reader, so I think that the book's probably, and from what you've said about the book, I would probably just recommend the book. I don't think that this would be necessarily something I would watch again. I didn't hate my experience. I walked out of the movie not feeling like I wasted my time. But I could have probably watched a better movie. I could have watched a better movie at my house. Yeah. Like, I mean, so it was nice to get out, have like a big old sack of popcorn in my lap while I was watching it. Like, it was a good time, right? Like
that popcorn probably hit this time, didn't it?
Oh yeah.
It's like I haven't had that. I still
eat. Well, I mean, I still eat popcorn at my house, and I have a whirly pop, so like I'm eating nice popcorn. But the fact was like to have like my usual setup of like a large drink and like a popcorn and like just enjoying with some Reese's Pieces, like just a really like indulging. Yeah. It was a fun experience. And that's just what everyone's solo time. I also feel like that's just like the theater going experience. So it was nice, but or people should indulge in those experiences when they afford them for themselves. And I think Yeah, I think going forward, I think everyone should read more. And that's kind of where I'm on. I think I've been lately is just like, I think people should read more. That would be really nice, wouldn't it?
And that counts, guys. If you are more of an auditory listener and reader, that's fine too. That counts as reading.
I mean, I want to go into it's not reading, but it's still enjoying the story. I think
colloquially, it's okay to call it reading.
I mean, yeah, it's what I'm not going to get caught up on that, but I think reading requires literacy. Like it actually requires you to be able to, but I'm saying if you wanted to enjoy the story and consume this story, which I think is the most important part about these, and just like giving any form of support to like authors and people writing. Cause I think we're on a slippery slope of losing a lot of creative, not jobs, but just creative goal, like just the creative arts, right? Like especially with the advent of AI, I kind of, we're going to go into this for a bit now that we're doing.
Wait, save it for another podcast.
But no, this is too one-off. This is way too one-off. We should have talked about it during the Oscars.
No.
Well, I'm just going to say, did you know? All right. So Mickey 17, read it, enjoy it however you want. Or Mickey 7, just do it either on ebook or
don't watch it. Read the
audio.
book.
Yeah. Read the book. So just a quick, like little, like maybe 10-minute. So when we were talking about The Brutalist and Emily Perez, I was reading that both of them used AI. So for speech, what do you think about that? Specifically, like this actually kind of like pissed me off. Adrian Brody's Bulgarian apparently wasn't up to like snuff all the time. Like it was like he kind of was like not the best. So they ran his vocals through AI to put more of a Bulgarian accent on it. And Amelia Perez, apparently, whatever her name was,
Carla Gascon, the singing part,
she apparently was like not a good singer. So they just ran her voice through AI to make her a better singer. Hard. What are your thoughts on that? I think the Adrian Brody one, he can fuck off for that. I think that's like, I would say especially who he was compared to on that would actually, that puts me on the Timothy Chalamet wagon. Right. Because I think that I would like to know, that pisses me off.
Part of me, I think anything that uses AI just needs to be known. Right. So in the movie, it needs to be like in the credits voiced by AI or edited with AI to do this. Like that needs to be seen. That needs to be known too. I think all that shit just needs to be out there and we shouldn't not know. I don't think I have that big of an issue with it, though. But at the same time, I think you should be out of the running for awards.
I think that Adrian Brody got the award for Best Actor, and part of why he got that award was because his to bring what is an actor or an actress? What is someone who does this? It's bringing the character to the screen, and he only got about, it sounds like 75% of the way there.
I don't disagree with that part. Like, yeah, I think
that's like he brought it 75% and he needed AI to bring him to 100%. So like, yeah. Oh, and then we're gonna glaze on the fact that they used some fucking ancient film to fucking shoot on this one where he's a fucking AI.
Yeah. As an actor, like you have to. I mean, Timothy, like because of a lot of COVID, he spent like 5 years like learning a couple instruments and learning how to sing and getting the music down and learning all the Bob Dylan songs, and he performed it live and everything else. And again, I haven't seen the movie, so I'm not going to super advocate for
what else was up for Best Picture
or Best Picture again? Or Best Actor
or Best Actor. Yeah.
Other than those two, I think I don't think if Daniel Craig got there.
Well, we saw him in the chat. I think we saw him in the chat.
Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing was up there.
Okay. I haven't watched that yet. Ralph Fiennes.
Ralph Fiennes.
Sebastian Stan.
I would have gone with him. Yeah.
Because he was playing Trump and doing like a
Coleman's I think acting was really good.
Literally all of them. I think everyone but Adrian Brody, like if provided that they did not use, what am I fucking talking? Oh,
I just want to say, I don't think there's an issue with it. I just think it needs to be publicized and it needs to be known that things were altered with AI or used. Like, I think AI as a tool is great. I know there's a lot of discussion right now around like AI art. I think all that is trash. But if you want to use that as a tool to use it, that's fine. But it needs to have credited as AI art, because AI art is literally all imitation. And in a way, you can argue art is too.
Everything known, right? Like it is a proxy or an estimate estimation off of what you're saying and what the data it has used to form what it should look like. Right.
But
so I'm also,
as a tool, it's fine.
I'm trying to say, like, I think AI is important. I think AI as a tool is important. And I think in less creative ways, right, in more practical uses, like I'll say it right now, like I use ChatGPT. I'm going to probably get flack for this, but like the fact that like fucking Google is broken, like so most search engines now, because of like the state of, and this is partially AI with like them, like the dead internet theory, like it's unreliable to use normal search engines. So I'll try to use them, but like I've deferred to like using AI sometimes, like for most of my like SEO, like so just like search engine use. And it is like, again, I don't use it for creative means, but I do use it to like kind of soundboard some of my ideas or how I would tailor things, how like things, because like I'm not a confident writer. I guess I'll openly say it here. Like I'm not a confident writer. I'm getting better at it. So what I'll do is I'll write up my whole script, and the parts that I have questions about, I will put it into AI and be like, how would you present this, or what is it? And it'll give me like some feedback on like, this is kind of like a little rough here, and I'll just take it as feedback though. Like I'm not trying to copy and use everything. So I'm not against people using AI is I guess the main point. I think it's a very useful tool, and it's going to be a very useful tool in our future. I am against Adrian fucking Brody winning Best Actor when literally part of his acting had to be supplemented by AI because he couldn't do it or it was not consistent enough. That's literally like, how do you become the best actor if you can't fucking do the part? And again, I haven't watched the Timmy Chalamet Bob Dylan movie because I don't really give a shit about Bob Dylan, and I'm kind of over the musician biopics. But I wouldn't argue against the fact that if he put the time in to really learn Bob Dylan, to really become like a well-versed actor, to make sure that the role that he was pursuing, right, he could do to the best of his ability. Like, are we literally going to let the guy who has done nothing but obscure films for 20 years come back and like fucking do a 3-hour fucking AI supplemented fucking performance? I don't know. I have a fucking problem with it because again, it's mostly on the award. Mm-hmm. And I think in creative spaces, we have to scrutinize it more. I think it's one thing. It's one thing to write code with it, right? Mm-hmm. Like I think I am at the point where like, because I do programming, right? Like I that's like back end development shit. Like I'll do that I've been learning more of that, but like we are at the point where like low level developers are like not needed, because that's not what an engineer is. An engineer takes a problem and finds a solution. And programmers are just people that pound at the keyboard and like put in, like kind of enact and try to solve these problems. And they are easily replaceable by, AI. If I can just talk to them. I'm not saying that's the best code. You still do need developers to revise it. So I don't want to completely write them off. But we are at the point where like a lot of these jobs can be streamlined and will probably end up being taken by AI. And we can't let that happen to creative ventures. Right. And the fact that we just gave this to like, and like the Emilia Perez just sucked as a movie. I'm just going to say that, like, it wasn't a good movie. And the fact that like the leading role couldn't fucking sing and got nominated for so many fucking awards, like, especially like the fact that they won for El Mal, and it's like, oh, she couldn't even fucking sing, which again, I like, that wasn't on, holy shit. That wasn't on, why am I blanking on names? God
Zoe Saldana?
Yeah, Zoe Saldana. That's not against Zoe Saldana, right? Unless they did do it. But like the fact that like it got that praise for like its music and like the performances, it just like brings up more where it's just like, is that, do we let it come into making it's not even right? Like, I don't know. You can't be a best actor if you're relying on something,
because that's part of the craft.
Improve your performance.
It's to learn other crafts.
We don't let athletes perform if they're using fucking steroids, right? Because we've proven that it gives them an unfair advantage.
They're just wink, nudge,
right? But like they try to say that we don't, right? But that's like, and it's clearly illegal whenever we do, right? Like, and that's kind of like a point. And I'm kind of thinking of the same way, right? Adrian Brody couldn't act. So what do we do? Or he couldn't do the Bulgarian accent, or was inconsistent or whatever. So we used AI to supplement it. if it came out that LeBron, which does LeBron use steroids? Just want to know, like, does he?
Maybe.
What would happen? He might. They won't talk about it, but like, look at what happened to fucking Lance Armstrong, right? Homie like had cancer and used it to like get him back into shape or something, and we were like, you like, we were taking every Tour de France that you ever ran back, and we just openly were fine with Adrian Brody winning Best Actor, even though he couldn't act fully and give us the full performance.
Justice for Timothy. That's all I hear from you.
Yeah, justice. That's all and that's rich coming from me, because I've actually kind of been a little bit like colder or cooler on.
You just wait, buddy.
Chalamet.
Wait until you watch Call Me by Your Name this month. You're gonna fall in love.
I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it again. I'm like, damn, dude, fucking get
kid can
me,
act.
Timmy. Like, Call Me by My Name. Yeah, it's gonna come all the way back. I'm gonna relapse, but I'm saying now I am like hashtag justice for Timmy.
Hell yeah!
Like, I don't even want to.
Finally,
that's fucking bullshit.
We'll
just end on that note. Yeah. Fuck AI.
Justice for Timmy.
Well, fuck AI in creative spaces. It's a tool that we need to use, but like to just undercut people's like ability, human ability.
Yeah, I've used it twice now, where I've like fed in like a bunch of transcripts just for it to like sort of build like a rough script for me, just so I can visualize it. And I go off of it a little bit, but then I just do my own thing, and it's just like it's a good way, especially when I have like 10 interviews that I have to look through. It just makes my job a little quicker and more efficient. And that's the only thing I've really used it for. And then obviously like we've used it for like titling or something like SEO type stuff. Yeah,
that's like vidIQ though. Yeah. Everyone's fucking using vidIQ. Again, my conspiracy theory is the YouTube algorithm.
We're creating it.
vidIQ. Yeah, like vidIQ has taken over the algorithm, and everyone just feeds shit into vidIQ, which they have been using AI now for years, whether publicly or not, but like they are absolutely going into that. So my whole thing is like, it is a great tool. I've learned a lot from using AI, like just from like topics that I want to know more about, just like putting in, hey, I want to know more about this, because it aggregates information very well for me. And then I always, the caveat is I always ask it for its sources. So like my chat GPT just comes with the sources. I think it does it regularly now. It used to not, but now I can check the sources too very easily. So it can just find that for me. And even like, I remember I was trying to help me write stuff, and it was just blatantly wrong about some things. I was like, and I just like talked to him like, you're wrong, dude. And then I just, I go off on my own thing. So it is a good collaborative tool in creating, and
collaborative is a good word for it. Yeah.
But like to completely take over the performance is where like, I'm like, that is fucked. That is fucked up.
Yeah.
Anyway, though, I think I'm good to end on this. Let us know what you think down in the comments below about Adrian Brody fucking cheating out Timothée Chalamet while using AI. I'm pissed about it. Fucking witness me as I get pissed about it. Also, let us know what you think about Mickey 17, and did you like watching it?
Yeah, what side are you on? Are you on my side? Are you in the middle like Ian is, or are you more did you love it? And if you did love it, I want to know why.
Also, for this, I just now thought of this because we're trying to structure these a little bit better. The preferred method of consumption for this media, meaning how should you watch or experience Mickey 17, the official ruling here is that you should read it. We have one person that has read it, and I feel like it would probably read better than what it watched. I would say to read this if you're going to consume this story. Just saying. Like, we think it would be a better read. Now, if this was The Lord of the Rings, maybe you read it because it's a classic. But I would honestly say watching it because it's way more exciting. And it feels like more of a love letter to The Lord of the Rings. Like they're both great. You should experience both of those. Harry Potter, I would honestly say a similar thing. I would say you can do both. I think you should do both, but reading them is a lot of fun, especially if you have a kid. I think it would be good. And watching them is, bro, those first two Chris Columbus films are a lot of fun, and then we get into the real shit. Bro.
Alejandro Inarritu. Yeah.
He
also fuck J.K. Rowling.
Also fuck J.K. Rowling, but also
Harry Potter
the
still
movies
slaps.
are a lot of fun. There is no ethical consumption in America, so just don't feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Or just in the world. Not just in the world, there's no ethical consumption, so don't feel bad about experiencing things anymore.
Oh, by the way, big shout out to all the love on the recent podcast. We've been getting some nice consistent views. Get a couple subscribers here and there. We did get a comment on the last video, which you did interact. So I just want to shout out our friend Distinguished Flyer. Let me read his quick Sean Baker list. So he has the king of all kings, the Florida Project at top. And then he has Anora, Red Rocket, Tangerine. And then he scattered the other ones, which I'm surprised. I didn't even watch the other ones.
Films. Like, yeah, I didn't even. So shout out to him. Cause like, I responded back and I was just like, I can't speak to those, but
yeah, I was going to watch Takeout cause that one was like a joint film I think he did with somebody. And I think that was like an Asian film, I want to say. I'd have to look it back up.
I think maybe like there is some credence later down the road that we go back to Sean Baker or any of these directors and we watch some more to like accentuate our opinion on like our original opinion to like, you know, learning more. Cause like, again, these podcast episodes would be so long if we did every fucking movie. And also on top of that, I don't have that kind of time, man. I barely get time to play Marvel Rivals, right? Like, it's hard. Like, and I read pretty consistently, but it's very easy to read with a kid. You just like put the kid down beside you and you just read. I can read anywhere. With e-readers, I can read on my phone if I'm waiting in a line somewhere. It's super easy. But like, so to watch 8 movies, hell, to even watch all of Sean Baker's films was tough. But thank you, yes, for all the love. We're seeing it. We're appreciating it. We're trying to be more consistent with it. If you want, again, socials are down below. We might have to revise those because we're not using X. Honestly, the best way, I'll keep it real. If you really want to just interact with us, sure, Letterboxd here on the community page is probably the best way. We'll try to be better with that. I don't feel like keeping up with the rest of social media because I don't think it's necessary. I also don't want you to have the rest of social media on your phone. I want you to take a break from it, viewer. I think I'm going to stick with Instagram some because I think you could be fun with that. I'm trying to think of like different ways of doing like carousels or whatever they call them to like make them more interesting. So all of that will be down below, but just know I think I use, I think we use Letterboxd and here the most. I actually do use the YouTube Studio app quite a bit, and we are going to be more active on this platform. We'll say that. Like, X sucks.
I'm kind of on Threads, but not really.
Threads it's just like, honestly, it's porn bots at this point. All of them. They're just like fucking AI bots trying to get
I've had some arguments on there, okay?
You can have arguments, but like, I still just doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel like a real conversation. I would honestly say a comment section on one of our videos or even the community tab, not trying to pimp it out there, right? But like, if you want to have like an actual discussion, I'm way more open to having it here. Cause then we can also we could make a video on discussing it, right?
Yeah.
That could be a topic, right? I don't get that same interaction. And I'm tired of screaming into the void of like, social media for people to come over and see our shit. We're on YouTube. If you want to do it, if you want to support us and here, we're on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. But even then,
Spotify as well.
You should absolutely, we try to keep up with that. I think that's more of a Jared. Jared keeps more up onto that end of it but we're still, those are the 2 places that we'll interact the most with. Yep. And yeah, maybe even Letterboxd for this. I know I keep my stuff up to date, but again, thank you all. I really appreciate it. It's really great. You're looking great today, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.